All right, this is Travis Carter's Corner. Oh, stuff that. Carter's Corner. We have Bruce on the telephone here. So Bruce Reynolds is the candidate for the mayor. And correct me if I'm wrong on this one, you're also a candidate for the councillor position. Bruce.
Yeah, hi Travis, how are you going? Yeah, that's correct, mate.
Fantastic.
100%. Put my hat in the ring for both.
Excellent. So just before we get into the questions, we also have Aaron on the desk, making sure all the levels and everything are correct. And I do need to stress that any opinions on this show are the opinions of the people giving them. The board from 89.7 do not have any influence on what's going on. This isn't the opinion of members, and also the presenters. The opinions given are the opinions of the person that's giving them. So it's just one of those things we have to do for security and whatnot and all that other jazz. So we've got Bruce on the line here. Bruce, tell us why the mayor and why the councillor?
Well, effectively, I'm at a stage of my life, Travis. I'm 49. Started working as a 15-year-old, did my apprenticeship in the city of Perth, and slowly worked. Well, not slowly, quite quickly worked myself through my apprenticeship, and then started doing production managing. At 24, started my first business, and luckily enough, I've just worked through my business career and journey, and now currently have three businesses that I've had for some time, and along with that, maybe 20 years ago, so 24 years ago, I started my first business. About 20 years ago, I started getting involved quite heavily with non-for-profits and helping through Heart and Hands all the way through from volunteer up to chair and board and chair levels, that sort of thing, and really I've had a fantastic, I guess, fulfillment out of being involved with the community at that level. And this sort of came about, and as I was watching the campaign unfold, just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's a bit like a moth to a flame. Something just didn't feel right, and I can't put words to that exactly, but I've just felt compelled, if I wasn't happy with the process, then I felt compelled to put my hand up.
Well, the only way you can change, especially a lot of these political issues going across Australia at the moment, the only way to change a lot of these issues are to actually get involved. One thing I've noticed personally, not many people are actually prepared to put their hand up and get involved. So that's a massive effort from your part, especially considering the risk to your own personal business and stuff like that. So looking from the City of Perth perspectives, what's one of the biggest things that you feel that needs to be modified and changed to make Perth a better city?
Well, for Perth, I mean, I'm a proud West Australian. I'm a proud Perth person. So when I do hear other candidates really run down Perth as a city, it makes me want to put the gloves on. I think we live in a great city, and we've got lots and lots of opportunity in the city. We do, without a doubt, though, have challenges, and those challenges have been building up for a while, and they've been compounded further with COVID, but not just COVID as we currently see it, but the fallout over the next 3 or 4, maybe 5 years of COVID. Mm-hmm. So we have to really address those challenges front on and not pretend that they don't exist or don't have the foresight to understand how that may look and how we will need to tackle those issues. So for me, our retail sector, obviously that's been, that's gone through 3 phases over perhaps since the 1950s. Big chain supermarket type boxes came into existence, and our elongated coastline meant that our shopping precincts got further and further away from the nucleus of the city. We've had situations through 2014 when we've started our version of the fallout of the GFC, which hit us a little bit later than the rest of the world, but there's no doubt from 2014 to now that's been a real thing. And then we've had the online shopping explosion. And all those things have eroded what effectively is a strong retail precinct. So we need to look at ways to revitalise that. We need more footfall. We need, there's talk about, getting our city as a city of 90,000 residents or 80 to 90,000 residents by 2050. That's not going to happen by itself. And at the moment, the offering isn't strong enough in certain ways from a livability point of view. The Perth city didn't evolve the way a lot of great cities around the world did. We were a freeway, effectively, a water freeway built on swamps and lakes. And, we perhaps do need to reverse engineer some playgrounds, some schools, some primary schools, those sort of type amenities. to make it a more livable city for families.
Okay, now, Bruce, if I could just throw something in there, just with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just going back to the retail sector, because to me that's obviously the heart of Perth. I think that's what brings people in. What improvements, what changes would you make that would actually bring people back into the city?
Well, the first thing I'd look at would be a legislative thing. So the Retail Tenancy Act is a 1985 document that if you've ever read through it or flicked through it, that's probably as far as you'd get because it's pretty cumbersome. But to probably put it in different terms, if you were to buy a retail building or a commercial office space or a retail office space in the city, an offer and acceptance is 2 or 3 pages and that's it, buy and gone. When you go into a lease agreement, the Retail Tenancy Act effectively means that you're locked into that agreement for 5 years. And it's instead of being 2 or 3 pages long, if you ever looked at a commercial agreement, it's written by lawyers, and it's quite thick. I've seen 2 inch and a half, 2 inch thick documents. So we need to look at drop-in type leases where people can effectively try out their business dream, have it for a year to 18 months, and then if it hits the fan, they feel like they can get out of it. But there's nothing worse than when you've put your blood, sweat and tears into a business idea, $100,000 into fit out, and then who knows what the business idea is, but there's a lot of capital that goes into that and a lot of risk.
So to bring that communal, sorry, go on.
Yep. So on top of that, then you've got a 5-year lease hanging over your head that even if your business doesn't make it, and how risky businesses are, then you've still got this 5-year lease that you're responsible for. So that's one thing, because we'll need to create 1 or 2 or 3 shops turns into 4 or 5 or 6 shops, but it also works in reverse. When you've got 1 or 2 or 3 shops fall over, well, then the others follow suit. Then you've got down at Langley Park, people bring people. So down at Langley Park, we've got this amazing quay which we built, which cost us a fortune, and you go down there and it's effectively a concrete jungle with a couple of big buildings next to it. We need to have activation down there. And if you go to places like South Bank over in Brisbane, a river that's nowhere near as beautiful as our river, and we're so disconnected with Langley Park and the area all the way up to the hill to, say, St George's Terrace. So for mine, we need to have activity down there. South Bank's a fantastic model where they'll have paddle pools and man-made beaches and cafes, but then that's not enough as well. We need a transport hub from the top of, say, town hall that can get people down to that area very quickly, whether they're trams, whether they're outdoor escalators, or whether they're shuttles. That's for someone smarter than me to work out. But if you were to walk in your lunch break down to that precinct and back, it's going to take
Bruce,
you longer than half an hour.
We are sort of kind of running out of time on this one. So we do have a few questions that have come through. The first one, you were talking about the stresses on the families, especially with COVID-19 coming through. One of the people who have messaged through earlier today wanted to ask you, what are your plans to try and get people off the streets, especially with the stresses what's been going on with COVID, causing a lot of stress within the family units. A lot more people are breaking up, and there's a lot of people who are ending up homeless because of loss of jobs, loss of home, and a lot of this is caused by the COVID side of things. What can the City of Perth do to help ease the homeless stress on the homeless people within the Perth city?
Yeah, good question. I guess the first part of that is at the moment there's around about 500 to 1,000 people who are doing it rough on the streets in Perth, and the number, if you include people that are couch surfing and those sorts of things, then go up to the many thousands. But if we talk about the extreme level of homeless, those who are doing it rough, that 500 to 1,000.
Actually, I'm looking at the figures. Apparently, we've got approximately 9,000 across WA, and just sleeping rough, in the CBD area, I guess, it's 1,000. It's amazing. It's a terrible number.
Mate, this time next year, brace yourself, and in the next 2 or 3 years, if we don't get our services right, and if we don't get that upstream right, which is the critical part of this conversation, the City of Perth is right at the bottom of the stream, where the logjam, where everyone who's fallen down through the cracks, who have gone from if you can imagine like a ladder, just those steps all the way down. Those who end up in the city do so because it's one of it is a point of refuge. It is one of the safest places, just through lighting and amenities, all the services which are from drug rehabilitation services, outreach services, food services, blankets, and all those sorts of things. A lot of those places are aggregated into the city, so that's why Perth, the city proper, becomes such a I guess the last port of call for those who have gone down that run.
So we understand that side of things, how they get there and how they've fallen through the cracks. But what can the Perth City do if you're elected to help these people to effectively replace the runs on that ladder for them to start climbing themselves out of homelessness?
Yep. So one thing and I'll preface this with it's complex, and if I was to say I've got all the answers, then I'd be lying through my teeth. But
at least you're honest with that. So
I'd rather someone say I don't know the answer than make one up. Quite frankly, that's refreshing in politics. Very good.
I think you would probably be the first truthful politician out there, to be honest with you.
Now, can I throw something too into this little barrel of fun? When it comes to the homelessness, obviously we've got a massive problem in Western Australia, an absolutely huge meth issue within our state. What do you have any thoughts, any plans that could basically help with that, reducing that, and obviously because a lot of the people that we have on the street are addicted to this horrible thing,
and it's getting worse. I live in the city, and I've seen just in the last 3 months. I don't know what's going through the system at the moment, but at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday night, beautifully dressed kids. Totally out of it, zonked, and I've not seen that my whole life in the city. I know that, and I don't know what they're on, but you're sort of keeping an eye on them because you want to see if they're okay, and that's been over a 3-month period that I've noticed that. So I don't know the reason for that. What we can do as the city, we need to get proactive. Obviously, it's a policing and state issue first and foremost, but as a city and as the rest of the state, we need to look at ways that we all can collaborate on the area of homelessness and on the area of security and crime and drugs within our city.
Okay. I've been asked a question about some of those people who are in that sort of space, if you like, and apparently, and this is what I don't understand. Okay, apparently the price of meth has gone through the roof. So I'm wondering why it doesn't make sense if something the cost has gone up so dramatically, why we're seeing so many people out there on the streets who are on it.
Could it be that a lot of these people who are homeless because the JobKeeper and Job Seeker payments have gone through the roof? Like, it's astronomical. This is just a quick guess here. Do you think it's possible that these additional government payments, all these people that are in these homelessness, high-risk categories have all this extra surplus of money, and also with the drug addictions that they might have, they've now got access to a lot more money to be able to buy a lot more drugs?
Yeah, and for me, it's worse than that. It's exactly along those lines from what I can tell from the outside looking in. But also, you've got kids who, same thing. They've got more income that have come in, but they've also got less things that they can spend that income on, and they've got more time on their hands. Yeah. So what will happen is they could quite likely try things that they haven't tried before, and that's. If something like the scourge in our society can take a stockbroker who's got 3 kids and lives in a beautiful leafy suburb, if we can take him down the path in 6 months, what's it going to do to an 18 or 19-year-old kid who doesn't have any support mechanisms in place to deal with something like that? Because it's a highly lethal concoction and an addiction that grabs people quite quickly. So it's not there's again no easy fix, but we have to stop putting our head in the sand and ignoring it because it's not going to go away.
Okay. One last question I do have, and this is a question of myself. So I watched what happened with the previous Lord Mayor, Lisa Scafidi. I think that's how you pronounce her last name.
Lisa Scafidi, yes.
Yeah. Huge amounts of corruption allegations. It was just a dog's breakfast, to be honest with you. Do you find that Perth City is, especially the government side of things, has lost a lot of their trustworthiness, especially when it comes to transparency on things like political donations and how much money all of the candidates are using to actually run their campaigns? And also on top of that, where the money is coming from?
Well, according to the electoral, not the electoral commission, there's a disclosure section on the Perth City Council's website where anything that you receive, it's a gift or a donation that you need to disclose.
Yep.
And one of the candidates had quite a sizable set of donations through the contacts, and it's public knowledge.
Over 102,000. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. But to her credit, she disclosed everything that she needed to disclose and was very transparent about that.
Yep. Di has done phenomenal on the fundraising side of things. I'll have to give her that one. I've actually got the form in front of me here. It's called Electoral Gift Registration, and the form number is 051020. There's another councillor candidate here, Teo Fang Xiao. I think that's how you say it. Leah.
Yep.
I'm having a look at here. She's a councillor, so her name's in brackets, Leah, then her surname's XIA. The biggest thing, the disparity I'm seeing between her donations and Diane Baines is Baines, every single one is the donors stating it, Diane stating how much of the money. It's all accounted for. The bit that concerns me on this one, Leah, most of the people that are donating money to her are not disclosing their name, their family name, or the reason why they're donating the money, or the reason why they're withdrawing all this, withholding all this information. The other thing here, she's also received money from a couple of places here. For example, the Mirage Palace, which in 2017 got raided for drug trafficking and prostitution. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to find out if there was any charges laid, but they have been raided in the past for potential organised crime offences. Is there anything that, as a new mayor, if you win, that you can do to start making the whole process more transparent so the voters in Perth actually know what they're actually voting for?
So when you say what they're voting for, just how does that
who they're voting for?
Who they're voting for?
Yeah.
Okay. Mate, I couldn't even begin to answer that in regards to that candidate you're talking to. I have met her briefly at one of the functions. Seems like a nice young girl. So I don't know what connections there are. I think if anything, some of that stuff that you just mentioned might be her being naive in regards to knowing how to fill those forms out. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. And in regards to the connections 2017. I couldn't answer. You'd have to ask her that directly.
I have tried. She didn't answer. She didn't respond to my invites to come across. So that's all good.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm trying to tiptoe around it. It's just that I don't know, so I'm not even going to try and guess.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if it is a question where you don't know the answer to, I'd much rather a don't know than a made-up question.
Absolutely.
Answer.
No. All right, guys, I'm going to cut you short for a tick. We need to go pay some bills. So with that, I think we'll be back in just a tick on 89.7.
Carter's Corner, back here again. I am your host, Travis Carter. We have Bruce Reynolds on the phone and also Aaron. So, Bruce, take it away.
Okay. So any more questions, or am I wrapping up?
We're wrapping this one up for now because we're on time restraints. This is the first show. We got a little bit carried away there. So, yeah, it's...
All right, guys. Well, look, appreciate you having me on and throwing me some nice curly ones. The harder the better, because at the end of the day, we need people who can be accountable and will speak truthfully and directly down the lens of a camera and give people, good, fair, honest feedback. I think that's what we should get from all our political figures, and I certainly don't include myself as a political figure. I'm just a regular person, community-minded business person who has decided that enough's enough. I want to make some changes in regards to knowing what's going on from within, instead of standing out from outside and casting aspersions. I know that I'm 100%. Have no issues with any conflicts. I know my level of integrity will stand the test because obviously I know myself inside out, and I think it's just time that we had less politics in local government, which is going to be a big ask.
So from our point of view, Bruce, You've been an absolute pleasure to have on the show, so thank you very much for coming in. Listen live on 897fm.com.au, and if you do have any questions, flick them through on the text line for us on 0418 897 897. So we're going to cut to another song, and after that we'll have David Ho in the studio with us live as well. So Bruce, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with the show.
Thanks,
You
Bruce.
too. Bye. All right, so we're... Well done, Aaron. You just cut my mic.
No, I did, my friend, but I actually went to the song and the computer has gone a bit strange. But okay,
awesome.
We'll get that.
The start button helps. So, we're going to cut to a song now once the computer wakes up, and then we'll have David Ho in the studio with us here as well.